Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for Operetta from Monster High. I will point out to you right off the bat that I have used a couple of beads as decoration for the hair. If you have something on hand that you'd like to include, you are welcome to do so, but this part is totally optional. You will also notice that I haven't made the darker circle around the eye, but when we are doing the face, if you want to add a darker colored band or two where the eye is sitting, I'll show you roughly where I think that would go. The bows we're going to make an add-on afterwards, and the rest of this we'll be doing on the hook or on your loom, which I've got just in the standard offset configuration. Excuse me. Colors for this project, you can use white, clear, or a pale skin tone. For the hair, we want red. For the dress, you can do purple and black, as I've done here. You can do it all in a darker red. You can do it black and then switch to red. It's totally up to you, but I know that there are different iterations of the dress that she wears. Oh, and the last thing is I'm using a couple of small beads for the eyes. Pupils are drawn on just with a couple of Sharpies. If you want to use bands, I'll show you how to do that as well, and I'm going to thread the eyes on using some dental floss, so if that's something you want to do, I'll just get you to get that on hand and we can begin. We are going to be starting with the arms. I'm going to make them just a little bit shorter than what I did here because they went a little longer than I wanted to. So we are going to be taking white or skin tone bands. You can start with 2 or 1 if you want to be more conservative. Wrap them on your hook 1, 2, 3 times. And I'm going to put it onto a chain of 8 single doubled over ones of the same color. So stretch, twist, put it back on top of itself. It's going to be nice and tight, and slide your wrapped bands over. So that was 1. We're going to do that for a total of 8. 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're struggling, you can just do double bands, like 2 bands together, but you will lose some of the thinness of the arm, and that is up to you. If you have a preference, you can go in the other direction there. That's 6. 7. I'm looking for some that are a little stretched out already. 8. And then you can leave it where it is, or grab a separate hook. We're going to do the other arm. I'm just going to slide mine down, take 2, wrap them about 3 times. We'll pull that onto 8 doubled over singles again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then when you are ready, you can set this aside, and we're going to go to the loom. Starting at the top of your loom, get your skin color or white band. Put 2 on the top, from the top peg to the second peg down in the center. we're going to have 2 coming down diagonally from the second center peg to the second peg down on the side, and repeat it to the going down to the other side. And on each of those rows we're going to add 1 set of double or 2 white bands. And at this point we're going to switch to purple. We're going to be coming down with 2 at a time on each of the rows. And we are going to do this until we get to the 4th peg from the bottom on each row. So 2 at a time. And starting at the 3rd peg down, lay them out 2 at a time. And we'll do that on each of the rows until you get to the 4th from the bottom. That feels like 3. Yep, I got an extra one in there. Get this laid out for you, and then I'll hold it up to show you. I suppose I could have set this up first, but that's okay. You can do it with me. Won't take too long. Trying to grab the ones here that aren't too stretchy. And when you do get to the bottom here, your last 3 sets are going to be black. You're still using 2 bands at a time, but then we're going to switch the color. So hold on, we get the last couple, and then I'll show you what this looks like here. Actually, let's get those blacks on at the bottom, and then you'll be able to see a little more clearly. Always a little hard to make out the colors on my camera when you're using lighter colors. But give me a second and we'll get you a nice clear look. Okay. So 2nd to 3rd is white, and then we continue with purple until we get to the 4th from the bottom, and then we have 3 sets of black, and that's going to be the same on each of the rows. You can put your arms on the 2nd peg down. That's going to be your shoulders. So 1 on the right, 1 on the left. It does not really matter which side you put it on. If you feel like your arm is curving more in one direction than the other and you want to switch it, like put them one side over the other or turn them around, up to you. But it's all good wherever you place them. Okay, so 1 arm here, 1 arm there. We're going to put on some holding bands, starting with purple. Take a single, double it over, stretch it across your 3rd pegs down. It's going to make a triangle there. Repeat below, and what that will do is keep the upper body a little bit more tightly set. I'm going to do it one more time on the 5th pegs down. So 3 doubled over triangle bands, and the rest are just going to be single bands stretched across, forming triangles beneath. If you want to use 2 at a time, that will make it a little bit sturdier, but you don't really need to for this project. I'm using purples until I reach the black, and then I will switch to black, otherwise you'll see some purple showing through. And for the last 2, or the last one, I'm gonna put 2 bands together across the bottommost 3 pegs, and with my hook pull those bands over the center bottom. Okay, we are ready to put on the side extension, and what that will do is give a bit of body to the skirt. There is a way to get it to flare out a little bit, and if that's something you'd like to do, you're just going to add 1 extra one extra set of double black to the chain. I'll show you what that would look like. So you are going to start with a single black, wrap it two times on your hook. You can do it 3 times, but 2 is probably what you want best here. I'm going to take 2 black and put them on and repeat that. Now, if you wanted to have the skirt flare out a little bit more, you can add 1 extra set of black, of 2 black, and then when you put it on, we're going to be adding it from this bottom link here, or the cap here, that circle. If you wanted to make it a little extra longer, you would leave that out and just attach your chain from the next link. But you have to add an extra link or it's going to fall short. If you are not choosing to do that, then you can just continue with me. Or regardless, you're going to continue on the chain by adding sets of 2 purple together, and we need 5 of those. So there's 1. The only difference here is to get that extra flare, you'll add 1 more set of black, but that's totally optional, and don't worry about it. If you're not feeling it or not feeling confident, you can just stick with me here. And when you've got your 2 sets of black and your 5 of purple, what we're going to do is take the chain and stretch it out from the bottom. You're going to find 3 loops and put them on the bottommost side peg. And the bands that are on your hook are going to go onto the 6th peg down from the top on the side. Okay, like so. Right now it's just sitting along there. So what we need to do is take 1 piece out of each of the links. I'm going to start at the top. Just grab 1 little bit of elastic and bring it up and over the peg so that it's connected to it. I'm just grabbing 1 part, putting it over. I'll promise I'll go a little bit faster on the other side, but if this is something you are a little bit new to, I want to help you out where I can and make sure that we can get you a nice result in your operetta. And stop. We're going to do the same for the other side. I'll go a little bit faster this time. Black, wrap twice, pulled onto 2 sets of 2 black or double black. If you are making an extra little curve, you can add 1 more here. And then we've got our 5 purples, 5 sets of purple, double purple. Once more, if you're adding that side chain, you just have to attach it with the little bit of black connecting above. Maybe I should show you that again here too in case. Okay, I'm going to attach this on the other side, and just to show you as I'm putting these pieces on here, if you were going to have that extra, then what would happen is when you got to the bottom, you would just have 1 more chain sitting there, and you would attach the bottom one just as the others are and not worry about the loops on the bottom. Otherwise, we'll do this, and the reason I chose to round it is because it's more like a ball gown, more like a ball gown. It's not so sharp edge. It's got that roundness to it when I look at the pictures of her. And we are ready to loop up. So starting on the side, you're going to be pushing back the top holding bands and then collecting those bottom 2 that are coming from the peg above. And I'm pointing the open part of my hook up towards the top of the loom so I can catch those bottom 2 and move forward. And we're going to repeat that So the whole way through, and there are no tricks here, you just have to get to the bottom two and don't grab anything else above them. We'll do this until we reach the part with the arms on. If you feel like your loom is getting very tight, you can carefully release some of the sections starting at the bottom if they are truly securely locked in. When you get to the top there, reach under the arms and get the bottom two white, and you can bring them up to the middle. This is just a straightforward chain looming we're doing. Gonna go forward on the other side. I always have this fear that I'm gonna get like 3/4 of the way through my project and then realize that I wasn't recording. I was just looking at my camera there and like, yep, good, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. When my son is saying something funny or interesting, and I've got my camera out, he usually stops talking as soon as the camera goes on. Or I realize again that I didn't press the button. Okay, I've looped up each side and looped it inwards. And then I'm going to go to the bottom and loop up the middle, starting by hooking the bottom two and bringing it up over the peg above. You should have less in your way as you come up the middle row right to the very top. So same deal, just get the two bands that you see sitting on the peg, nothing else that's in your way. You can put your hook through the bands on the top center peg. Make sure you get all 4 loops. And then with your finger, your hook, or another hook, you can carefully start removing the other parts from off of the loom. Typically, one does better to start from the top and work downwards, but do whatever's working best for you. Okay. There we go. My arms kind of got curly there. I'll show you a little trick at the end if you need some help with those arms. There's your buddy. We'll add the bows right at the end. But for now, let's go back to the loom and we can start on the head and the hair. Just a quick note, there are, I'm going to do the hair that you see here. There are other strategies, methods. If you have a way that you like to do the hair for your characters and you want to do it differently, by all means. But the strategy I'm using here is to add on some extensions. So I'll show you how I go about doing that as we get there. To begin, grab 2 red, put them top center to top right, 2 red top center to top left, and then 2 bands coming down on each row, top peg to second peg down. Like so. We're going to switch to your skin color. I'm using white again. Come down 3 times using 2 bands for each set. Oh, sorry, for the middle set. On the sides, we're only going to do 2 sets of double bands. So you'll be reaching the 4th peg down in the center and the 5th peg down in the center and the 4th on the sides. Grab 2 and come down diagonally 4th side to 5th center. Repeat that for the other on the other side. You can take your body and we're going to put it on the 5th peg down in the center. Now just so you know, when this comes off the loom, what you see here is going to be the back of the head. It's not a huge crucial difference, but that's just the way I like to do it. So if you feel like you want one side of the body to be facing forward, make sure that it's facing downwards on your loom when you transfer the neck piece onto that 5th peg down in the middle. can take a doubled over single white and stretch it across the second pegs down. Make a triangle holding band. For the next one, we're going to do the eyes. I'll show you quickly with the beads, and then I'll show you as well how to do it with bands. These ones already have pupils drawn on, but you can draw your pupils on afterwards, which is what I did with my first one. I put a piece of dental floss, or you can do a beading needle and thread through the eyes. I'm going to take a doubled over single of my skin tone, which in this case is white. Put my floss through it. This is totally optional. If you've got beads with a larger hole, or you prefer to do bands, that's totally fine. In which case you'd be using the hook instead. This is just a trick I've used that I like. I'm going to thread my dental floss back through the eyes and slide the beads until they're on my band. So go onto the third pegs down from the top. And just make sure that you've got the right loops in the right spot. You might need to use a hook for this. I think I might. I think that's what I might do here. No, I got it. And you can take the floss out. Separate the eyes a little bit. Then I'm going to put my hook inside that band that they are sitting on. Bring that over the third peg down in the middle. That just keeps the eyes from moving about and keeps a little space between, so they don't slide over to one side or hide behind the bands. If you are using bands instead, you can use blue or black or green or purple. And to do the eyes with bands, you would take a single, wrap it 3 times, repeat with another single, put it onto a doubled over single, and place it on those third pegs down on the side. Separate with your hook and put the band that these are on over the middle third, just as I've done here. Okay. Right, and I totally forgot this, so I'm going to mention it now. If you wanted to have a darker band around your eye, and this might take a little bit of experimenting, but what I would suggest, because we're flipping it over, is on your left side, you would maybe want to take this second set of bands and try a darker color there. If you did that, it would affect the color of these bands. If you do the middle bands, it's going to affect this, and then it's going to look a little bit funny. You could also thread something on after, or if you have a round bead or wire form, those are other things that you could attach afterwards to get that effect. And sometimes Operetta is shown with the mask or the patch, and sometimes she's not, so I did choose not to in this case, but that's up to you. For the hair, I've got 11 links in my chain, so you can do it shorter or longer, but that's going to give you this particular length. And that's what I'm going to do next here, is take a single, wrap it on my hook twice, and then put on 11 sets of double bands. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. I'm going to put the bands that are on the hook onto the top center peg. And I'm going to stretch it over to the side and around, and grab a chain or a piece out of each chain of the link, each link of the chain that is, and slide it onto the side pegs. If you want to make the hair a little bit thicker, again, this is something you can play around with. I've done this in the past sometimes, but you can make another chain like this, maybe 3 or 4, and put it on the 4th peg down, and then you'll get a second one of these. They can sit side by side, or you can kind of weave them together at the back, and you can get some added thickness that way if that's something you'd like to do. I'm going to make a chain for the other side, single wrapped twice, pulled onto 11 sets of double. 1, 2, so exact same thing here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't know if you noticed this, but I just realized I missed I forgot to put on one of my holding bands, so we'll do that in a minute. It goes on the top center. I know it's looking thick up there, but it's going to be okay. Connect onto the pegs below. Just grab one piece out of each link of the chain. I said it right that time. Hooray for me. We're going to put on one more holding band, doubled over single white or skin tone. The 4th pegs down. Don't worry if you've got the hair extension, it can go on top, because remember, as I said, this is the back. You're going to reach inside that neck piece and get the top 2 bands, which look like they are coming from, which order did I put these down in? Hold on, got a shadow here. Okay, my top 2 are coming from my left side, so I'm going to loop those up and over to the left. The next 2 are going up to the right. And the last ones are coming straight up the middle. You can loop up each of the rows. It doesn't matter terribly which order you do them in. And on each side you're getting bottom 2 bands. I'm bringing them up and forward. And up to the middle. I can hear the TV going in the next room. Which is terribly distracting. Hopefully you weren't hearing it on my video here. Okay, and up to the center from the side, and once you are sure that everything's been secure, you can take 1 or 2 red bands. Put your hook through the top center peg, and all of the bands that are on it, you're going to catch, turn that hook away from me. Okay, catch that band and slide it up, straight up, and when I come up, I've got the open part facing up. Put the other side on and slide one end over the other to create a slip knot. You can put this right on a C-clip or on your finger or on a hook and remove from the loom. And we just have some finishing touches. Okay. Yeah. So you can see this is the back. The red is sort of showing there. So mine came out a little bit loose. So I'm going to turn it forward. Find my securing loop, and that can go in the back. I'm gonna hide that under some bands here, and it's just gonna go onto a C-clip, which I forgot to mention under my materials, but you probably figured out that we might be using one. You can draw on pupils if you've used beads and haven't drawn on pupils yet. So if you did the extra hair chain, you would have a little bit more hair showing right here. If you want your hair to sit a little bit snugger, you can turn to the back, and you'll put your hook through one piece of the hair, through one piece of the head, and pull your hairpiece over, and you can kind of weave across like that, and so go under another band and take the one that's further from the end over the other, and you can keep sliding across like that until you put it on a C-clip or until you reach the other side, and then you can add that to the C-clip you've used to secure your hair. Again, totally optional, and you may even have used a different hair creating technique, and it's all good whichever way you did it. Okay, so let me get that on a C-clip. I'm sorry it's a little hard to see here. I'll turn this around right away. So same thing for the arms. If you want the arm to sit on the side and not be loose, what you can do is go to the back, go under a piece of the dress near the side. So I've just put it under a bit of purple. You can grab one little bit right off the edge of right off the end of the hat, slide it under, and that can go onto a C-clip, and that will hold it in place for you. I'll just throw that on so you can see. Give me 1 second. Grab the other hand while I'm at it. You don't have to do this. It just gives a little bit more control, allows you to sort of pose her a bit. And if you used double bands, you would have a thicker arm, but it might be a little less springy. And it's fine whichever way you did it. Okay, so let's throw a C-clip in there for now. For a bow, if you are choosing to use a bow, what I did for that is I took a black band to match with the bottom. I stretched it way out. I put it around my finger, and I actually tied it in a knot. So I twisted, it's kind of hard to do or to show. I twisted it over and then put one side under. And my fingers are big and clumsy, but it kind of works. So you tie it in a knot, and then what you can do is get your hook just inside of the knot, and you can grab another band, pull that band through, and then you can get that woven into the back. So let me put this on my finger, go through from the back, grab it and pull it back, and that can go on the C-clip as well, and you can just adjust that a little bit. I did this one a bit loose because I'm gonna undo it right away, but that's how I got my bows on. Another option for decoration, which is what I did on the top here, is if you have some beads, you can thread them on. So you might have, maybe you used red and you've got some red roses. But yeah, if you have other beads, I used needle and thread for this because these were too fine to get my bands through. But you can attach other kinds of beads by using the technique we used for the eyes, which was to take your piece of floss, run it through the bead, run it through the band, go back through the bead, slide on, and then you should be able to pull the band that it's on through. So there is your operetta. I hope you're happy with your result, and I thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to check out some of my other Monster High tutorials. Alright, have a good day, guys.